trying to show it again. Please remind me if I'm missing it later on. Okay, let me stop sharing this. So now I would like to share again my previous lecture. I think it's very important for me to to explain again, and later on I plan to demonstrate to you some basic drawings. Oh, can you? Oh no, I stopped sharing just now. Okay, can you see my work?
Yes.
Okay, now yeah, it's back to our drawing guide. So last time I mentioned about you need to organize the format of your work. Okay, because every work that you produce for me is part of the presentation. Even though your sketch, early sketch of form, line, schematic ideas, very rough drawings. But for me, if you well organize it, actually it should be part of your work to show the design progress. That's why for me, whatever you do, don't throw it away. So please use that for your part of the presentation. You can reorganize that. For example, if you do it in the A4 paper, so you can make a photocopy, you can scale it smaller or bigger, but then you can put it back in your presentation drawing, because what we want to see is not the final product, but also the process before you produce your design ideas. So that's why maybe you can see some very simple sketch, simple drawing, just to get ideas. So even when you go to the site later on, when you do a site investigation, your data inventory analysis, so it's not just to put it in word, but also you should be able to put it in drawing form. For example, the quick section to show the different type of leveling, different type of topography, and you can sketch, for example, very simple drawing to show the space character at the existing site, the potential view. Okay, then maybe you can draw some uniqueness of the site. So all this drawing is not just um, what I can say here, uh, exercise that you didn't show it later on. It should be part of the presentation. The presentation doesn't mean the only final drawings. Okay, the presentation is not only the final drawing, but the process is much more important there. So this one when from the inventory analysis, you come up with the concept. Of course, you will sketch. You will normally come up with many kind of sketches to show the development of your design progress. So that should be part in your presentation. Okay, so last time I mentioned about the formatting, title block, scale, the key plan, location plan. Normally, later I will show what is a key plan and location plan, and what is the site plan. So you need also to put legend in your drawings. Legend can be in the form of word, can be form of symbol or colors. Okay, they must have a description. So every drawing you must have a legend. Okay, legend shows the some interpretation of the place, of the space, or whatever that you want to describe your drawings. So you can put in legend. Then, as a whole, drawings could be uh, 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 derived from your process of design. Example like the data inventory plan, the analysis plan, right? Then you have a synthesis plan that you conclude, or your work become what is your recommendation later on. Then you have a concept. So basically, that's it. schematic and concept sometimes is the same, but it could be different as well. So before you come up with the fixed design or final design, so the process is important, need to be shown in your presentation. So that's why last week, if I relate back my lecture, so you should need to be able to organize where you want to put the description, with the wording, your some explanation there, and where you want to put your drawing. So all this need to be organized. So even below you can see a title block where you should put the title block, so it can be at the center. So it can be in the bottom of the paper, or it can be in the right corner, but all drawing must be consistent. If you use for example, if you produce a 5 drawings A1, so the title block must be consistently uh, 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 allocate that in your drawings, allocated in your drawing. For example, if you are using bottom line, so all drawing must start with the bottom line. So don't for example mix that. One drawing is you put in the bottom, and one drawing you put in the on top. Example. So all this is important to be organized. So as well as your, maybe you have your own logo description. For example, you can see below there, you can see on the next page to show the how you put the title block, right? Your name, the title of the project. So this is always need to be consistent. So sometimes that when you are in the early years like this, so you follow, so your drawing looks fine, looks good. But some students when they go upper years, so they forget about all this. So the drawings is not so well produced. So so this is example of the base plan. Maybe I believe that in your studio later on, so you draw, you have a lot, uh, uh, the lot of the land. So you get some the area dimension, but it's not so much there yet. So when you go to the site, of course, you can Google it, so you can trace it from Google Earth. So you can put it on, for example, on the right, you can see the building, the existing trees, the road. So whatever thing on site as an existing feature that you need to put in your base plan. So this is another example. So you start organize your work. For example, the boundary, your title block. So even in the exercise that what you are doing now on your exercise, you can organize it. So your name, your title block, right? So the title of the assignment, for example, the drawing exercise, a line exercise, line thickness exercise, perspective, symbol exercise. So you practice it, right? So when you come into your studio, so studio work where you apply all this later on. So it must be you know applied. Okay, it must be applied in your design work. So example here, like I mentioned to you, it's a design process. Okay, you can start sketch, very basic form, the improvement or the evolution of your design need to be shown as well. It's not just a final product like below here, but also the process could be part of the presentation. And I also mentioned about the different type of thickness, line thickness, to show a gap, a dimension, and also how significant the features. For example, you will draw a very using a thicker line, so it shows that the element or the component are important and maybe a big scale. For example, the large trees, building, right? When when you draw a fine line, example, you want to render the pavement, the brick, the timber, so you can use a very light line thickness. Okay, this is a example. So you can see the depth between features, among features. For example, the big trees, so it will be darkened compared with shrub and ground cover. So you can go by hierarchy as well as the building. So the building you can draw in two line as to representing of the wall of the building, or you just using a thicker pencil or pen that shows the wall. Because for us it's not so much important, but at least when you talking like this, so the space inside there is also important to be considered how it's related back to your design. But here, what I want to show it to you is about the line thickness. So you can see on the next page, know where you can see all the features are all look similar, no hierarchy, no depth, right? No, we don't know that how significant a certain symbol. But if you compare with the next drawings, you can see very clear to show the depth between trees, shrub, and ground covers. Okay. Again, for example, like if you are using in pen, for example, 0.2, 0.25, 0.3, 0.7. So mostly we use a more lighter line for the fine features or rendering. So if you use the thicker line, for example, the wall, some big structure such as a shelter, big trees, yeah, a building as well. So this is another example. I think I mentioned to you that you can trace it some exercise. And how about lettering? Lettering basically is depend on you. For example, if you take 2 cm as a guide, so you can divide into two parts. So in the middle is a 1 cm. So then 0, 1, and 2 cm. So you can divide into three line. You can have a three line, so you can organize it A, B, C, D, and E. So if you are using this ruler, it's much more easier. If you put it vertical, so you just follow this vertical vertical edge there. So then you can write it down by using this ruler. So it's same that if you are using the grid line, so the grid line is more easier because it already have a form or the vertical and the horizontal line. So that's why it doesn't matter if you can use this as a guide. You can draw the three line there, then you can put the word, for example here. So you can see a bit consistent in terms of how you make your own lettering. Another important there, after you write some meaning, some interpretation of your drawing, so where you want to put all that, okay, to put your legend there. One, you can come up with the different type of numbers or symbol, and another one you can write it just next to your drawing. But I think the A example is much more better because it's not overlapping, okay, line that maybe it make your client confused. So that's why you could compare the drawing B instead of the mixture of line there, very massive. So maybe it's very hard for you to read your drawing. But if you look the type A drawing, so it's more organized. So you can see very clean in terms of the interpretation of each space or area. So you can see this as a guide. So maybe I also can start show it to you here. So this is a guide example. So you can see the guide there. Then you can also draw this in the middle there. Maybe it's very hard for me to organize because this one I'm using this. Then you can also show the another line for the bottom form. Okay. So this is just a guide, but later on, if you keep practicing it, so it's fine for you to write manually. Okay, same like this. This is your guide. Then you copy this line. So it's the bottom line there. to ensure that your lettering consistent. Then that's in the middle. Can you see it? So
Yes,
guys,
teacher. Yeah.
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
So you draw this one first, but later on, if you much more expert later, so maybe you don't no need the line guide there. Oh, so that's a guide. So that's why you can see that line. So you can use a pencil, and lettering you can use pen, or maybe you can use a more darkened pencil for your handwriting, and you can use a lighter line for your reference. Okay, and lastly, also I explained about the producing a plan, elevation, and section. So this is very simple form that you can refer in. Example, how we draw the relation between plan and elevation. So you can see here is very easy way. For example, you draw a shutter there. So bottom here you draw a shutter, but not the same like a plan. But you show uh, the architectural look of that particular pavilion or shutter. Then you draw the trees as well. So whatever you can see from there, for example, that's the section line. So you need to put it back in the drawings, in the elevation form. So you can see some of the example of elevation, and this is another example. For example, the cross line, the elevation cross line. So above you can see all the features there. Uh, sorry. Uh, in the bottom you can see the plan. Then from there we extrude uh, to draw a section. But whatever you can see on plan, it must be translated into or transferred into your section. So for example, here we can see the lawn. So that's this line is facing to the upper side, the upper side. So this arbor, you can see arbor, stairs, so you can see stairs. So, but you can see the different type of view. One we can see from the top, and one we can see from the side. So that, but both are important drawings. I just want to recap. Then I will show it to you. My lecture today. This is another example how you use a different type of line profile to the round shape of that particular trees. So you can use the darker line, but inside you can use a lighter line a bit to show the trunk or the, you know. This is another example of plants in the sectional drawings. So example, when you draw a section, we we should be able to see some characteristic of your design. For example, if you draw this palm, right? So that shows the is maybe a Coccus nucifera, you know, or it can be another type of Livistonia, a species of palm, maybe. Okay, but again, when you draw, you must follow certain character, otherwise it make your client difficult to understand it. For example, you want to draw a rain trees, there are a lot of example there. When you want to draw a palm, there are many type of palm, how to draw a bamboo. So you just browse it from your internet, so you can get some clues on how you draw. Same like a figure, right? So space or your drawing without figure, it looks boring. It's no portray human activities. But once you complete your work, it's better also to show some figure. You must imagine that when they are there at a certain period of times. So what are their characters and activities? So human figure is very important to show the how your landscape or your master plan complements to their needs. So that's why normally it's good that every drawing must have a human figure. I will send back this message to you. So same like shadow, okay? Uh, if you can differentiate the feature between shadow and non-shadow. So when you put a shadow, so you can see the more stand up features, and we can see the gap between the trees, canopy, and the grass. So that's why when you want to put a shadow, so you can see the depth between one feature to another feature, right? So this is some example of shadowing technique. For example, you can see a cross hatch, right? The different type of hatching, different type of scale, but it must be reflect the original form. It must be reflect. For example, like the shadow can be bigger because our the canopy are big, right? So if you draw a palm, example, on plan, right? So when how you going to put a shadow, right? So for example, you can have like how to say this here. So you can see some shadow on palm, right? But no need to follow the leaf. So you can use the mid uh, uh, area, or maybe I can share it to you here. So let me use my iPad. Is there any question from you guys now? Okay. Example, like I mentioned to you, this is trees, right? Of course, last time when doing my school time, I just use the template, the circle template. Okay, but trees are not perfect round shape, isn't it? So they have a leaf. The trees can be like this, also can be a trees, because later on you want to put a color, right? So example here, a perfect a circle. Sometimes of course difficult for us to draw a perfect circle using a ruler, but this is a shape of trees. In the basic drawing, so of course you need to use this as your reference. Okay, that's the trees, isn't it? So your trees can be like different type of shape. It doesn't matter. This also can be a trees. Okay, and you need to put the post, okay, in the middle. So that is different type of trees. Even if you draw like this, also can represent of different type of plants you propose there. So from here you can see a three type of trees there, isn't it? But again, that without a shadow, so your drawing here looks a bit 2D. So when you want to put a shadow, example this angle, so you just hash like that. Or later you also can use a big pen, just one time to draw a shadow. Okay, so this kind of shadow, so maybe something like this. Then you can darken it, hash it. So now you can see the trees is more upstanding, isn't it? So without a shadow, so you can see more or less the object looks 2D, not a 3D. Okay, this is a shadow, but if this is a big tree, so you can have more bigger shadow there. So now you can see the trees or as well as a shrub. So now you can see the shrub. You see this is of course the same species because of the form. For example, your trees part of your garden. So when you draw a section, sorry, a plant of shrub, so you just follow the shadow angle. Example like this. So you can see the shrub, right? How about the palm? Of course, you as a practice, you need to draw like this here. Okay, so you can draw a palm there. That's the palm, right? So how to put a shadow? Because palm normally a bit tall. So you can see there's the palm trunk. Then you can have a leaf shadow. So this is the shadow of the palm. Can you see it?
Yes,
Yes.
teacher.
Yes.
Okay, very good. So very simple, isn't it? So you can have a many type of form. It doesn't matter because later on you need to put color. Okay, normally we are not submitting black and white drawings. So normally we need to have a color. Even you can have like this. Also, it doesn't matter. Yeah, it depends on your creativity. Actually, we are not depend much on our schematic drawings to sorry, we are not depending much on your master plan drawings to build the features. Normally, we are based on the technical drawings. So technical drawings is more detailed. For example, they have all the specification, the land, the type of vegetation. So you need to use a different symbol, different type of numbering. So all this will show the different type of species. But in your concept drawing or in your master plan, you just use a simple symbol like this. Okay, same like when you draw a building. This morning I draw a shelter there, but your shadow must be consistent. For example, if you using this corner, so the rest you must use the same type of the shadow. Then you can put a shadow here. So this is the building. Normally they have a double line there. It's a bit small. Okay, so that is the building of not a building, a shelter or the wakaf. Then you can have a shadow there. So now you can see more outstanding the shelter. Um if you compare the drawing before without a shadow, so shadow is very interesting for me because it gives you some depth in your work. I would like to go to washroom, so give me 5 minutes. Is it okay, guys?
Right.
Okay, thank
Yes,
you.
teacher.
So we'll give you 5 minutes first. I will come back.
Okay, Doctor.